So I'm going to try and speak to the different people that should be hearing the conversation about digital inclusion. I'll tell you a little bit of my story and for, I suppose, the younger ones here and how I got into tech. So when I got to secondary school, I realized that there was a whole number of girls that were taught that because they were girls, they couldn't be good at maths. And it used to be very odd for me because I didn't realize that your gender and your genitals dictated how good you could be at math. But a lot of young girls had been taught that. And I go back and I remember an incident in JSS, in junior secondary school, where I think there were like top 5 in math or something, and there were 2 or 3 girls. Like there were 2 girls, the first 2, and then the rest were boys. And then the teacher said, so you boys have just sat there for these girls to be beating you at math. Now that I'm older, I realize how much we are excluding our girls at a very early age by saying things like this to them. When you're saying to boys, why let girls beat you? You're telling them that, girls are, in terms of math, girls are beneath them and they should do better. And you're telling the girls that this is not their space, right? So part of the conversation about digital inclusivity is the conversations we're having at home with our kids and the conversations our teachers are having with our children. Otherwise, they are dropping off before we reach the decision-making points. When it comes to our sisters and our daughters and inclusivity, we have to ensure that they understand that, yes, math is hard, but anything worth doing is worth applying yourself. So it's not that, I am mathematically inclined. It is that if I make the effort, if I put in the work, I then make myself open for careers. I mean, there are young women that have built tech companies that are raising millions of dollars and affecting the world. Why are we preventing our daughters, our sisters, from going into that space? That professional women and what it means to be digitally inclusive. And I'll just pick a small trend in there. 15 years ago, when I made a decision in my career, the decision was that I was going to have a very visible career. So a career that was visible to the people that would be able to open doors for me and give me opportunities. I used digital to do that. It's really simple. I started out by saying, so I have these skill sets. How do I showcase them? And I started by writing. So I started writing, at the time I started writing about mobile money. This was a long time ago before it's a big deal, right? I started writing about mobile money. I would do my research. I was working in a telco at that point, yeah. So I'd write all these articles, and then I'd put them online. So your social medias, your digital platforms, and then I had a website. I will tell you this, that website, I think, became the most read mobile money blog in Accra, if you look at the numbers. But also that opened up opportunities for me. So there's an interesting story of the company I was working for at the time. So a C-level executive came and said, I've seen this, really well-written, researched articles, about mobile money. At the time, mobile money was getting launched in Ghana quite a bit. And we can use this data and this person, we really should consult this person because this person knows what they are about. And they were talking to my boss. So my boss said, she's down there. She's just down the hall. You can go talk to her. And that had a positive impact on my career. I was included in the launches of quite a few of the platforms. It also opened doors for speaking opportunities because then the more people could find me, the more they were able to access me. The next audience I'm going to address is policymakers and governments. So when you want to have the conversation about inclusivity, you have to have 2 types of conversation. You have to have access and you have to have affordability. So access meaning that if I'm in a village in northern Ghana, I should have a modicum of internet. I should be able to get access to a smartphone. I should be able to get access to the equipment and digital, and that starts even in the schools, right, from computer labs. That's in terms of policy. We need to design policies that give people access to these things. The next part of that is affordability. So one of the global pushes is to ensure that data in a country should cost 1% of the average salary in a country. Why? Because there is a direct correlation between increased use of internet and growth in GDP. You know, sometimes the conversation is that the kids are abusing the internet and they're using it to, fine. But even in that level of access, there are opportunities to learn, right? And so imagine children in a rural village being able to access the level of learning that the kids in Accra access. Imagine that the kids in Accra are able to access the level of technological learning that the kids in San Francisco are learning. That's what access and affordability means. Imagine that the woman that sells shea butter to a middle person in Accra who then exports it has direct access to the buyers outside the country. Her visibility, just understanding who's buying from her, means that she can make more money. The conversation about digital inclusivity is about how are we ensuring that those women can go to the next level in what they sell and what they export by being able to access digital tools.